Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you this morning. Great to be with you as usual for our daily live stream. It's not just me today. I've got a special guest with me today. It's really good to welcome Callum Davenport with us this morning. Callum, you were a Premiership football player for a number of years. I hope you like my background. I've put probably the greatest stadium up in the world.
I did notice that.
Good to have you with us today. So you live fairly locally to Plymouth, don't you? You're kind of on the outskirts of Plymouth. Is that right?
Yeah, we originally moved to Plymouth. We was just up from Mutley, really, about 4 years ago. But then we moved out to Tavistock now. So.
Okay, great. Cool. So I thought it'd be a good idea just to have a bit of a football chat today. And if you're watching this today, it's good to see a number of people who are tuning in. If you're watching this and you've got some questions you want to fire to Callum a bit later on, just write them in the comments and we'll bring some up a little bit later. So you started your career, Callum, at Coventry. Is that right?
Yeah. As schoolboys back then, it was.
Okay.
I was at Aston Villa as a schoolboy from about 10 till I was 15. And then I actually got released at 15. I had a few problems at school and stuff, and it sort of interfered with football. But Coventry took me on, and they're in the Premier League then, and sort of did my apprenticeship and stuff, and off I went from there, really.
Great. So you don't sound like you're from Coventry originally. So you've got a bit of a London accent. Is that right?
Well, I'm from Bedford, yeah. So it's about 45 minutes north of London.
Okay. So what football team did you grow up supporting?
Well, I was a Man United fan growing up. Really. Yeah. We didn't get to watch them too much. Probably maybe once, twice a year, if that. Growing up, obviously being so far away and expense, couldn't really afford it. So, bit of a luxury really to go and watch them.
Yeah. So, am I right in thinking you had about 7 professional clubs over the course of your career?
You probably know more than me. Yeah.
Wikipedia is great. I've checked it all out. So whether it's true or not, I don't know. But yeah, so did you have a favourite club that you played for?
Well, they all had something special, or they each club contributed something towards. I took something away from every club that I played at. But really, starting at Coventry City, we coming through the youth team. We played in 2 FA Youth Cup finals. Then making my Premier League debut for Coventry was amazing. And then being sold really because they were in financial trouble. I didn't really want to leave. I was, you spent 5 or 6 years working behind the scenes with all the staff, and everyone that goes unnoticed had contributed massively towards my career. So. That was not the biggest club, obviously, but just the emotional connection and the people who had supported me was definitely, Coventry's where my heart is, really.
Yeah. Is that the club that you still look out for now in terms of results and things then, or?
Yeah, I still look out for all the clubs. There's always, because there's still a lot of players playing that I played with.
Yeah.
So there's loads of clubs I look out for just to see how people are getting on.
Yeah,
but Coventry are close to my heart, especially the trouble that they've been in. A bit similar to Portsmouth, really.
Well, that's right. Yeah. We're on our way back though, so we're getting there. We're getting there slowly but surely. So, did you have a favourite manager that you played for in your time?
Yeah, I'd say when I went to Spurs, like Martin Jol was definitely the rest of the managers I played for. They tended to all have very similar. Approach in the way that they communicated and the way that they tried to motivate is very old school. Where Martin Jol was just a breath of fresh air. Really, he was full of humour and very close to his players. He, often put his arms around you and have a joke and just ask you normal questions. And definitely had a real calming effect on people around the place.
Yeah,
so he was definitely the best.
Okay, so all right, opposite question then. Who's the worst manager that you've played for?
The worst? I don't really like digging people out, but I'd probably say Alan Kirbishley when he brought me from Tottenham and I went to West Ham. That he lacked charisma. Training methods were a bit old school.
Right.
So yeah.
Fair enough. So my boys have contributed with a question. They've said, "What's the best thing about being a defender and why?"
Well, I actually didn't really start out as a defender. Really, I was as a young lad all the way up till I went on trial at Aston Villa at 11. Went there as a midfield player. And I did occasionally still play in midfield, but we turned up to a trial game. And there was 30 lads there, and they asked who were strikers. All the hands went up as they do. Everyone wants to score goals. And me and my mate was there, and they said, "Who plays in midfield?" And me and my mate were midfielders. I told him, "Oh, hang on a minute." Like all the other hands went up. I said, "Mate, we're gonna have to be defenders today if we want to play."
Yeah.
And he was like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, don't worry." So then he asked who was defenders, and 3 hands went up, and that was me, my mate, and another lad. We played. For Aston Villa, we played Preston North End away on a wet Sunday morning. We won 4-0. We played the whole game, and that's literally how I become a centre half. I didn't even go there as on trial as a midfield player, but I kind of adjusted that way. So the technical side that I had from playing in midfield certainly helped me to transition into playing at the back, and that's how I really become. I didn't really want to be a centre half, I'm being honest, but because of my height and maybe the way that I receive and take the ball comfortably, that's how I ended up there.
Yeah. So as a centre half, then, was there any players that you came up against that would kind of strike fear into your heart, that you knew you were playing against them that week, and you thought, "Oh my goodness, I've got to play against him"? And was there any players that you really did not like playing against because of their ability?
There wasn't a specific player, but it was a type of player. So your players like, obviously, he was at Portsmouth, Jermaine Defoe, I played at Spurs, Craig Bellamy, I played at West Ham. These short, sharp players, because I'm so tall, they get in and around your feet. They're like, they get half a yard, boom, they get their shot away.
Yeah.
They might not... you might think you've got them in your pocket or you're doing all right, but then as soon as the ball's in the box, they get half a yard, it's a goal. And the amount of times from training I come away, I think, Jermaine, he ain't done nothing, but he scored 3 goals.
Yeah.
So it was the little nippy guys.
So who do you think is the best player that you've ever played against?
Played against? Well, statistically and for who he is, obviously Ronaldo. I made my debut for Spurs at White Hart Lane was against Man United at home,
right?
And standing in the tunnel, and there's a team that I supported.
Yeah.
So looking at sort of almost guys that I really looked up to. Although I played with a lot of them for a youth team, and you come across each other, you don't just sort of miraculously arrive against these players. You kind of journey with them behind the scenes anyway. So Cristiano Ronaldo obviously is the biggest name.
Yeah, cool. So obviously there's no football going on at the moment, so I have been enjoying some classic matches on YouTube recently to keep my football fix up. And I mentioned the game to you yesterday. I don't know if you remember it or not. It was actually Portsmouth versus Southampton in 2005. Harry Redknapp had just done the dirty on Portsmouth. He'd left us and joined Southampton as their manager, and he'd come back to the ground, and Portsmouth go 1-0 up within 2 minutes. 29 minutes, we are 4-1 up. And then the commentators make a comment, and they say, Southampton's defence is all over the place, but they've got a young Callum Davenport on the bench who might be able to come on and sort something out. And I thought, oh my goodness, here we go. I was supposed to be speaking to you on Friday. I mean, once is a mistake to play for Southampton, but I think you pulled on the shirt about 7 or 8 times. I mean, do you regret that?
Well, I went there because I was obviously at Spurs, and the route into the first team, there was probably at the time I'd come back from injury or something, and there was 2 playing and 2 ahead of me, so I was like number 5 really, centre half in the pecking order. And Jamie Redknapp was at Spurs, and his dad was manager, and he was heading to Southampton, and he said, "Would you be like my dad wants you to come till the end of the season. You're going to play, stuff like that." So, and we just had a child, actually, me and my wife. We just had our first child. So, we just bought a house, settled and everything, and I was kind of like, well, I want to play, and then was whipped down to Southampton and didn't really settle down there, to be honest. Like Harry was new. Like what I was saying about Coventry, that the behind the scenes, it was a family. Everyone was connected and stuff like that. Harry had just arrived, so everything was new. My house was back home, my daughter and my wife. So I had a bit of a torrid time down there, to be fair, but learnt loads.
Yeah. So, I mean, as a footballer, I guess you must have to move around quite a bit. How did you cope with that? And, you know, because you play for like Sunderland at one end of the country and then Southampton at the other.
Yeah.
There's a lot of movement involved in that with families, isn't there?
Yeah, it's you get a lot of time to yourselves, you know, to like thinking time, and if you don't know how to manage that properly, it can cause a few problems, really. But fortunate enough, really, just to navigate through them periods. It's not ideal. It's better to be at home, settled with your family. You can go and do your work.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just part and parcel of the job, really.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, like me, obviously, you're a Christian. How did that come about? What's your kind of faith story?
So yeah, I weren't brought up, mate, in church or nothing like that. The first, I don't know how you'd say, the first connection or where something caught my attention was actually when I came into training at Spurs one day, and there was a Bible on my training place, but I looked at everyone else's and there wasn't, just mine. So I was kind of like, what's going on here? And it was Young Po Lee, who's I don't know if you remember, he's a South Korean left back, like international, played like 100 games for them for his country. Proper gentleman. He walked past me and said, Callum, you're ready. I was 21 or 22. I think I was 21 years old. I was thinking, what's he on about? I'm ready. And that was it. And it caught my attention. I used to watch him like quite closely. He was different. Like he stood out from everybody else, but just in his manners, the way that he conducted himself. When we'd go out, he was there, but he was different. And that was just the first sort of nudge I ever got, really.
Right. And so where did it progress from there then?
So yeah, then I sort of just carried on. With doing what I think how life should be, just going about being influenced by everybody else and just following the crowd, really. And it wasn't till my career ending injury where I had a big incident in my family that really it felt like the whole world was against me. The media are against me, my whole family were against me. But there was this guy in our village who, to be honest, he didn't fit my mind in terms of the people that I associated with. He was really like scruffy and teeth missing. And he turned up at my door with a big bowl of like fruit, saying, "Oh, Callum, you had a bit of a rough time. It just is from our church. We've been praying for you." And I was really touched, thinking,
right,
like, why? Just couldn't get why would you do that? Like, I just couldn't get my head around it. And then I invited him in. We had a cup of tea, and he was telling me he was a Christian. And then he came back and he brought some Alpha DVDs, not the latest ones, the ones before, the older ones. And he just said, "Oh, I've just watched these. If you've got loads of time in your hand, you're housebound, watch these." So I did, and I whizzed through them in like one day. I couldn't get enough. He was like, "Watch one a week, and we'll talk about it." I watched the whole lot in like. And that was it, really. Then he invited me to church, and I went to church, and there was a prayer board with like my name was just splattered all over this board, and I was thinking, these people don't even know me. Like, why would they do stuff like? I don't understand. So I just stood at the back of the church for about a year, like just observing, like just seeing what this was all about. And I didn't commit my life or anything like that. I was still very much full of myself, as we all are. And it wasn't until I moved down here 4 years ago But the first person that got my kids got into school, and the chaplain of the school phoned me and said, "Oh, can you come and play in a Starfish students game? We hear you'll play football." I said, "Yeah, that's fine." And then I went afterwards. They invited me for sandwiches and was chatting to the kids. And I was chatting to the kids and giving them all this spiel about self-belief and all this nonsense, really, when I look back. And the chaplain of the school just said, "Callum, what do you believe now? Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "What do you believe now?" And that question just hit me like, what do I believe? Like, what do I believe? I don't know. So I just started meeting with him every week, and really he just started discipling me, really, and just took the time just to answer some deep, meaningful questions. And I got to a point where I was backed into a corner, and I just felt I can't turn anywhere else but to the truth. So I kind of gave my life to the Lord, and then that's not just where it all begins. That's just the beginning. And I've just been on a de-weeding process, or we all are daily. But I mean, there was some deep stuff that in me that I didn't even know was there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's amazing how you can see kind of this story progress from when you were at Tottenham and you got that Bible in your dressing room.
I've always loved. I love football. I love the game. I love the way you think about the game, and I love analysing. I worked in football, but the industry. Where there's now knowing a lot more about the truth, about money, and how it corrupts, and how the industry is not nice in football. It's a shame. So I was kind of, although my career was cut short in the manner that it was, and just reading it, you think, oh, that's terrible. But actually, it's been the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah. So my boys are watching this at the moment. I'm sure other people are as well, who they aspire to be a professional footballer. That's what they want to do. The closest I ever got to being a professional footballer was I was a ball boy for 2 seasons for Portsmouth Football Club. So, what would your advice be to kids growing up thinking, yeah, I want to be a professional footballer?
Yeah. Well, I can just reflect on my football was really an idol to me. It was. I would just crawl over anybody and anything to get to where I wanted to go. That focus and single-mindedness is good, but there's a line of wanting something so bad that you're going to go after it at all costs at the expense of family and stuff like that. That was my downfall, really. So it's just having the right perspective of it's just a game.
Yep.
It's not life or death. And I didn't have that. It was life or death for me. It was football or death. That was it. But now, I go and watch games. I go up to Tottenham and watch Spurs a few times a season, meet up with some old mates. I just see the game from a completely different aspect. I see, managers, the emotional. I look around at the fans, the lack of emotional control.
Yeah.
It just baffles me, mate. Really.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. So what's
it's a beautiful game. Kept in that context. I think what we see on the TV and the way some people behave and stuff like that. I think is wrong, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So what's retirement brought for you then, and what does the future look like for you? Now you aren't playing football every week.
Yeah. So we moved to the southwest because my eldest daughter swims. She's a swimmer.
Okay.
The southwest is predominantly the strongest region in the country for swimming. Didn't have a clue about swimming before she sort of took it up. So that's why we moved down. So that's every day, hours upon hours. The training's so completely different to football. It's the dedication and time commitments. It's it's day in, day out, competing at the weekends. So that's been a big part of what I do now. Really, is just spending time with my kids. I did have insurance money which I took, and just been waiting on the Lord. Really, just I've sort of dipped my toe in football, and I do some outreach stuff with some kids, which I enjoy.
Great.
But the desire, like my heart's not where it was like for football anymore. It's almost like, I don't know, Lord shut that down, and there's other things going on, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to hear how God has given you that kind of different and new perspective to things for the future and things, and it's just amazing how God does that, really, isn't it? Where He takes us from where we were in the world to and just gives us this new life and this new outlook and this new perspective, and yeah.
I think, like, if we sort of rewind 10 years ago and people said, write down a list of what you've got, where you are, where you live, what you do, you'd think you must be happy. But I thought I was. But all them things are not on that list anymore.
Yeah.
But I feel I'm more content, I'm more at peace. I'm more got a bigger view on life. My mind's open to learning, to when I finished playing, I don't know what I was seeking, but I was just seeking answers, and I was listening to a lot of motivational speakers and going to seminars and stuff, and I was thinking, but how do they know all this stuff? Where does this come? It's got to be a source where all this information comes from. And one guy said, I can come around your house and tell you a level of knowledge or wisdom by the books that you read. And I'd never read a book in my life.
Right.
And I just, in the last 3 years, I can't get enough of reading books.
Yeah.
Like, people are like, what do you do? I'm like, I just love reading.
Great.
So yeah, just completely, it's mind blowing, really.
Yeah. No, that's great. Cool. Well, Callum, thanks so much for coming on and sharing a bit about your story today. It's really good to hear, like I said, just what God has done in your life and how God has changed your perspective and changed, your outlook on things and given you a new start. And it's so good, particularly, I think, for kids like my boys who are watching this and other kids that I do know who are watching this morning, to hear that, there's something more than football. And whilst football is great and it's good to be involved in, actually, a relationship with Jesus is so much more beneficial and it's so much more positive for our lives, really. So, thank you so much for sharing this morning. And
you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, you were going to be coming along to help out with our Love Southwest outreach, which unfortunately looks like it's going to be cancelled now. But we'd love to get you along at some point in the future to do that. And thank you everyone that's tuned in this morning as well. It's good to see there's been a number on the live stream with us. This Sunday, obviously, we have church. I am starting a new sermon series this Sunday. We're going to be looking at the book of 1 Peter together, and we're going to be looking together at how we have hope in what is maybe a really hopeless time for a lot of people. So I'd encourage you to tune in and to share what we're doing. Invite your friends to come and join us for church as well. Have a great rest of the day and look forward to hopefully seeing you with us on Sunday.